Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming today. Thank you for coming to the stream, very first stream. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thanks for coming today. Thank you for coming to the stream, very first stream. Hello, everyone. Let me turn that down. I'm hearing myself over in other places. Hopefully that's better now. So thank you for coming. So we are live on the Mott Legal page, the Mott Legal YouTube, Mott Legal Facebook, Dana and Associates Facebook, Dana and Associates YouTube, and my personal Rilus Dana Facebook page. So we have a few people watching. Thanks for tuning in. I want to know, first thing, I want to know where you're watching from. And if you say your house, I want to know where your house is. So this is how I start off my virtual meetings, is I like to ask where people are located, or even calls for that matter. I like to know where people are at. How's the weather? I'm in Tempe, Arizona today. I was in my office this morning in Scottsdale, and then I came back to my house for the broadcast. Moved my monitors around because I thought that was a good idea right before. And here we are. So this is something that I've wanted to do for a while, hold an event like this. I've done a lot of speaking engagements where I've talked to groups about their estate planning and common things that they can do, but this is one of the first live streams. I did a live stream a few weeks ago that was aimed at attorneys. It was sharing our digital asset planning practice. And again, it was really fun, but a little bit different. I'm getting used to the live stream environment versus a room full of people. In a room, it's easier to see what's going on. You can answer questions in person and get a feel for what people are wanting to hear, what they came to the event for. So in this event, I want to know where you're at, and also I want to know after that what you want to hear today. So if you had any questions on your mind, let's talk about them. Hopefully I cover it. So great, we've got a few people tuned in. Nikki's watching from North Phoenix. Thanks for tuning in, Nikki. Nikki runs all of our marketing. We have Linda in Phoenix near Paradise Valley Mall at home. So thanks for watching as well. So, and then Lindsay is in Arizona. Thanks for watching, Lindsay. Glad to see all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Very first live stream. I also, I invited, I don't see him in the studio, but I invited our attorneys, some of the Dana and Associates attorneys, to attend the broadcast as well. I want to introduce them. So we'll see if they show up here to the studio. And I'm still kind of getting set up here. So let me see. I might have had this application open twice. Okay, good. I'm still on the stream. We don't need StreamYard open twice. I'm going to move it over here. Actually, I'll keep it up here for now. I'm going to share my other screen in a minute. Let me close some of these things. We've got David watching in Queen Creek, so thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we'll wait a little bit, see if some of the other attorneys show up. I can introduce them, and then I'll get on a screen share as well and share you some of I'll show you some of the materials that I've been using for the virtual meetings with clients. So first thing, I want to know how everyone's doing. Hopefully everyone's doing okay. I created this webinar. I created it because I wanted to create a space where we can have a discussion. Now, we may be stuck at homes, but really with a webcam, with internet connection, our world is huge. We're connected worldwide. So that's really neat. Something I've been studying for a while, trying to figure out how I can, I guess, connect to an audience and how I can help. How I can help the community is the reason I'm here today, the reason I created this space, this hour today, and every Friday in May. This is going to be a regular event. And if you guys like it, we'll continue it through June and in the future. We may experiment with different times. If there's a different time that works well, we may adjust this, but I would like to get into a regular scheduled time so that way this can be a space that we invite people to throughout the week. If there's any questions or anything that we can't answer in our initial meeting or over the phone, they can direct them to come to this webinar on Fridays and we can address their specific questions. So, okay, let me close some of these things on my screen over here. So let's see, Anna's calling. Hello, Anna. It's not letting you. Let me invite you again. I'll send you another link. I'll send it to your email. Saying there's, okay. So yeah, I'm sending you the link again and we'll see if that works. So where are you located today? Where are you at today? Are you in the Mesa office? You're at home. Okay. I sent you the link. We'll see if it works, and we'll see you on the stream. Maybe not. So, all right. Okay. So that was Anna. Just finished a meeting with the client and is looking to join the stream. Let's see if we can get her on here today. And let me close everything out over on. Actually, I want to. Yeah, I'm going to come over here. Okay, and let's share my screen. Okay, so there is my screen. Let's change the background. There we go. All right, so this is our website I got here. So this is danalegalhelp.com, and a little video up here on the front page about the webinar. This is something we'll be doing every Friday. In our website, I want to show you a few things. Let's introduce some of our teams. Let's start there. So we have the about. I'll manage my scrolling, make sure I don't go too fast for you. So, but we have, so myself, I'm an attorney, and then we have Will Graves is another attorney. So Will is an associate attorney, practices in estate planning, and he's located in our Chandler office mostly, and then he's also in our Mesa office as well. So that's Will. And then Anna just joined our team. She doesn't have a bio up. We're working on getting that added to the site, so that'll be up there soon. Lori Bradford, she's an administration paralegal. So what that means, all the probate and trust administration. After someone's passed away, that's where Lori steps in, and that's the area that she gets involved in. Megan Marler is the estate planning paralegal. So anyone that's working on their own plan, creating their own documents, updating their plan, Megan is the head of that department. She supervises everyone going through that process. And then Allison is our receptionist. So that's the team at Dana and Associates. I wanted to show you that so you get to know who we are. And I want to show you some of the resources on this page as well. So if you go to the home page button there, so we have a video right here about this page. I'll show you this frequently asked questions. Well, before I get in there, there's some videos down here. I'm going to scroll to the bottom to show you the link. There's some nice things people said about us. I'm going to show you a link to our YouTube page. let's take a look at that. So we're live now there as well, but we have a lot of videos here. So if you have a question about a topic, like, the easiest will to make is a video here, or single trust, or what is a durable power of attorney, things like that, we have videos on our YouTube channel. Now back to danalegalhelp.com, the website. You'll find a link to our YouTube as well as our Facebook page. So some of you may be watching from some of these places. I'm also curious to know where you guys are watching from. Let me get back to my other screen. I lost my, there it is, lost my mouse. All right, I got a question from Leslie Pope. Let's see. Oh, that's a great question. So Rilus, can you complete a complete trust without an in-person office visit? This is Leslie from Santan Valley. So thanks for your question, Leslie. Thanks for asking that. Can you complete a trust without an in-person office visit? Yes, you can. This is something that I'm proud to announce. We've been working very hard to offer complete virtual estate planning solutions, is what we're calling it. So the very first meeting, we call that the personal family legal session. And on that meeting, we'll do a video conference, and we'll get on a screen share as well, where you can take a look at my screen. And what we'll look at first is the materials that you'll fill out, which is called the personal inventory. So we'll take a look at the personal inventory, and we'll figure out what a good plan is for you. And then let me show you, I'll share my screen again. I'll show you some of the resources that we use in this meeting when we meet virtually, and how you can do that from home. Pretty cool. Now, currently, the way we're signing up the documents, we're relying on what we're calling a flyby signing. What that is, that's where, so here's how the process works. So the first meeting, we call it the personal family legal session. I'll get a graphic to put up on the screen for you to show you the overview of our process. Okay, we got Tiffany viewing in Phoenix. Thanks for tuning in, Tiffany. So a lot of Arizona viewers mostly, so which makes sense. That's where Dana and Associates is located. That's where our main office is, headquarters in Mesa. So let me share my screen again. Okay, so this is one of the things that we'll look at during the meeting. This welcome letter, and I want to show you this timeline. It's the estate planning timeline. So the estate planning timeline, we call the first meeting a personal family legal session, and that's where you'll meet. We'll take a look at called the personal inventory, 2-page document, super easy for you to fill out. First page is who you are you married, do you have any kids, how long have you been married, things like that. Second page is tell us about your stuff. What assets do you have? Do you own a house? Do you have a retirement account, bank accounts, life insurance? And with that 2-page document filled out, we'll get on a screen share, and we'll talk about what plan is right for you. Now, in the personal family legal session, the way we'll take a look at what your needs are, and then we use this this spreadsheet. Now, this may look familiar if you've seen any of the videos on the YouTube page that I was just showing you. This is what was used actually to explain all these different concepts. Now, depending on what specific question, in that personal family legal session, I like to ask, why did you schedule this meeting? What led you to do a Google search and find us? What led you to ask your friends who the best attorneys were and find us? What was the reason? So sometimes that's they want to name guardian for their children, or they know that they want to avoid probate. Now, what is probate? That's a good topic. Let's start there. Okay, so what is probate? I'm going to go into this. I'll look at David's question. Let's see. I'll get back to that. So what is probate? So here's Mrs. Estate, which is a house, and Mr. Estate. They own this house together. She has a bank account in her name and some life insurance. The life insurance names him as the beneficiary. She passes away. Life insurance goes to her husband. So does the house because his name was on the deed. Now, what about the bank account? What's going to happen to that? It's just in her name. So she has a will, which names Mr. Estate, but we still have to have him appointed as a personal representative. So that requires probate. So Uncle Sam there, that's what we're showing as probate. It's a legal process to change title of an asset out of the name of the deceased. So there's lots of steps you have to go through, and it can be time consuming. There's built-in creditor periods, like you have to post and give notice and then wait for 4 months. So no matter what, it just takes a while. And then finally, he can collect the house through probate. So probate is one of those things not a lot of people have heard about. Maybe they've gone through it with a family member, or unless they've gone through it with a family member, it's usually a new topic to people. So we usually start there. And depending on the assets that the person has, it might make sense for them to do a trust to avoid probate. So we'll then go through how the single trust works if it's a single person, or we'll go through what we call the continuation trust, which shows how the process works for a married couple. Or we also do a very common strategy is what we call two single trusts. We'll do two trusts for each parties. I'm gonna look back at some of these comments. So Leslie, yeah, so we can do a complete office visit. Let me show you some of the timeline as well. So first meeting, we'll figure out what type of plan you need, and then we'll show you what the fees are for that plan, and then we'll start drafting that plan. We'll talk about who you want to name as the trustee to be in charge of the money after you're gone. We'll talk about who you'd want to be the guardian of your children if you have minor children, and things like that. Now, 1 week later, 1 week after your first meeting, you'll get the drafting instructions for you to approve. So let me show you what those look like. Let me open those. I'll show you an example. Okay, so this is what that looks like, the drafting instructions. So you'll meet with the attorney, you'll go over details of how you want things to be set up, and then you'll get that information back in 1 week to approve. After you approve it, you'll schedule your signing meeting. So the signing meeting, or the execution meeting is what we call it. Don't worry, no one gets killed at these executions. They sound way more scarier than what they are. We do these virtually. So meet with the attorney on a screen share, review the moving pieces of your plan. We're not going to get into all the super technical stuff unless you really want to. But even then, we'll just go through the parts that affect you. And then after everything is approved and it's doing exactly what you want it to do to protect your family, then you'll sign the documents. Now, currently, this is what I'm calling, we're doing the flyby process, where you show up outside of our office to sign all the documents. I'm in the process of updating to the electronic notary, the remote online notarization. I actually have been approved for that. I got approved on Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, that evening, but I haven't had a chance to figure it out yet, how it actually works. So we'll be introducing that very soon. And then the very final meeting we do is what's called the trust asset coordination session. So after you've signed your documents, we'll meet, and that can be virtually, and we'll talk about what should go into your trust. Let me show you this this tool that we use. I'll show you how it works for a married couple, or here's a single person. So we talk about, who the beneficiaries of the IRA should be. Sometimes that's the children, or sometimes that's the trust as the beneficiary. If the children are minors under 18, then we definitely want the trust to be the beneficiary. If the children are adults, then it's better to name the children directly as the beneficiaries. Now, they don't get to stretch it out over their lives anymore because of the CARES Act or the new tax laws. They still get a 10-year stretch out, though. If you name it into the trust has to pay the income taxes sooner, but we get the age protections where we have the trustee that manages it for your children until you decide they can handle it. Okay, so we'll design your plan there during the meeting, during the personal family legal session. You'll get everything to approve the drafting instructions, meet with the attorney to approve the actual draft documents, sign them, and then one more meeting with the attorney to talk about your final homework instructions, what you need to do to make sure that your plan works. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see some of the other questions. So, are you able to structure LLCs for REI real estate investors? I already have one, but very basic, bare bones. I'm looking for a higher level of protection. Queen Creek. Thanks for the question, David. So, by higher level of protection, that's something that I could help you with. Structure something with a higher level of protection. Now, our main focus at Dana and Associates, and the focus of my practice, is the estate planning and how things transfer. Now, as part of that, let's see, this example shows some sample LLCs in here. So we often use LLCs as a tool with a lot of our clients have rental real estate. So what we recommend is that they put their LLC inside of the trust, the revocable trust, and that their rental properties go inside of their LLC. So this structure, having rental properties inside of an LLC, that helps protect from liability. So if a renter is hurt in one of these properties, the owner is the LLC, so that protects the other assets outside of the LLC. So as far as higher level protection, what we would do, David, is we would get started with a personal family legal session. And let's see, I think I made some cool banners. Let's see. There we go. So to help you with that, you would schedule what we call a personal family legal session. So we'd go through, talk about your situation, talk about what you mean by higher level of protection. I would start with first making sure that you have a plan to avoid probate, to transfer all of your assets. And then higher level, what that might look like is something like this, where you have a parent company, like a holding company, that owns your other LLC, which owns your rental real estate, or there's different ways to set up the structure for protection. But that'll depend on your very specific situation. So thanks, David, for the question. That is something that we'd love to help you with. So if you want help, schedule, call my office, call, text, email, schedule a personal family legal session, and we can talk about solutions that are right for you. Let's see, here's Tiffany. Can you state that when the kids turn of age, it changes to them, or do you need to update your document? Thanks, Tiffany. Love that question. Something that we get quite a bit. So can we do that? Yes, technically, yes. I don't do it I don't do it except for Ken. Shout out to Ken if he's watching. One of my friends and clients for a while. Has had us do more complicated things. But here's why I typically don't recommend that. It's because setting your plan, it's not a one-time set it and forget it thing where it's done forever. I want you to reevaluate it about every 5 years. So it's depending on what you're wanting to do. If you want to say, when my child turns 18, they can be the guardian of the other children, or when they turn 18, they can be the trustee. Again, just because they're 18, they should they be? They legally they can. Should they be? Or sometimes it might be a different age where my clients will say, you know what, on when they turn to or what do you mean? So when the kids turn to an age, it changes to them, or do you need to update your document? So I don't know if you mean, can you say that the guardian of my children will be blank, my oldest child? So for example, my oldest, his name is Parks. He's 13. So could I list him to be the guardian of my other children upon him turning 18? Theoretically, yes. But what I would rather do is revisit that in 5 years once he is 18, and then see if that makes sense. Let me show you this down here. You may be asking another question, which I'll also answer, is when the children receive it. So this diagram here, or let me go back to my screen. So on this diagram here, this is for a married couple. So this is everything while they're both alive. One person passes, it transfers to the surviving spouse in the trust. And then after they both pass away, everything in trust is held for their children. Now down small here, it says options for distribution. There's either the age restriction, where we can say at what ages the children will receive their money. So that's something that we do very commonly. So basically every time. At a minimum, we say at age 18 that they can't get anything until they, not that they can't get anything, the assets will stay in trust and they'll be managed for their benefit. They're available for their health, education, maintenance, and support, but they don't get automatic distributions until they reach certain ages. And then there's this down here, what's called a dynasty trust, known as a generation skipping trust is the tax term. But that's a way where the children receive a trust that gives them protection from the estate tax, protection from any potential creditors. On that type of trust, what we commonly do is say when the children reach age 35 or whatever age of the client's choosing, they can be the trustee at that point. So I hope that answers your question, Tiffany. All right. All right. Thanks for watching, David. There's your question. And let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. This is fun. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This is fun to be able to go through some of your questions. Let's go back to what David said about the higher level of protection. That higher level of protection, a lot of times that's what would be called asset protection. Now, this is something on a Facebook message board, on one of the attorney message boards. Someone asked, how do you explain the dynasty trust to your clients? And I commented on there. I said, I asked them if they'd seen Fight Club. And it makes better sense when they have seen the movie, or even when they haven't, it usually gets a laugh. But the other day I had a consultation with a gentleman and he had seen the movie. So he said, the first rule is you don't talk about it. You don't talk about Fight Club. And I said, that's right. Asset protection is just like that. There's no such thing, or let's say this, it's bad public policy. It's not good if you say, help me put my assets somewhere where they can't be reached by someone if I owe them money. Now, the law doesn't really want to help you in that. But tax planning is perfectly acceptable. So everything we do is in the name of tax planning and estate planning. So the dynasty trust that we set up to get protection for the children and beneficiaries, they're technically an estate tax planning tool. Now, the estate tax, it does not affect very many people anymore. You have to have more than $12 million before you would be subject to any kind of estate tax. Now, I do dynasty trust for people that have a lot less money than $12 million. I start to recommend it whenever a single beneficiary is going to inherit more than $500,000. Then we start looking at ways where we can protect their interests. So just because it's not subject to the estate tax doesn't mean that it can't benefit from some of these advanced strategies. Let's see. We're working with the financial planner and putting some additional things into place. They recommended we meet with an estate planning attorney. Should we wait until we finish setting up before starting this process? You should start with your attorney first, I would say, and create your trust. And the attorney will give funding recommendations, meaning how they recommend things should be set up. And then you can go to your financial advisor and they'll help you update the beneficiaries of your accounts. Because if you have young children, you're going to want to name the trust as the contingent beneficiary of those accounts. So it's a good idea to set up your trust first and then go back to your financial advisor and then have them help you get things inside of your trust. Okay, husband has a trust, interested in having a separate trust. Once you complete my trust, are you recommending that it be reviewed every 5 years? Yes, every 5 years. Or if you can promise to not change it all in 5 years or promise that the world around you won't change. So yeah, every 5 years, I want to see you, or I recommend that you look at it every 5 years to make sure that it's current. And what would the expected expense of such provisions? P.S. We have no children. So what would the expected expense be? So in that meeting, we'll show you, we'll recommend, we'll talk about a plan that's right for you. And here, I'll actually show you the fee agreement. So this is what our fees look like. So for a married couple that needs a trust package, that fees around $3,000. What that includes everything in the will package. And the main thing is you get a plan being designed by an attorney. So that's the main thing that we're helping you with. The documents are just a byproduct of our service. Last will and testament, healthcare power of attorney, includes the mental health care power of attorney and a living will, financial power of attorney, which is a durable power of attorney, and digital vault membership. Trust package is all of that, plus digital asset language. This is something unique to us. This is something that the digital asset language, this is what I did the first live stream about to attorneys. I showed them how we do this process. So I did a continuing education training about this law. So digital assets is your information that's being stored electronically. And here's the problem that this allows us to solve. Now, currently, a lot of information is stored electronically, like bank statements. When I learned this business, more of that came by mail. So here's a very common phone call that we still get. And I first got this about, I think it was, about 13 or so years ago. I was in college working as a law clerk. And someone called. They said, hey, my parents passed away. I'm the trustee. I found this document here. I found this binder. But how do I figure out what accounts they have? How do I figure out what stuff they have? I said, good question. I went to the attorneys, paralegals. I said, what's the answer? They said, tell them to look around the house for bank statements. See if they can find any bank statements, or have them start getting the mail to see what comes in the mailbox. So not a very good answer. Wasn't a very good answer at that time. And it's an even worse answer today, because now a lot of that important information comes electronically. So these laws were passed in 2016. Arizona passed it. It's called the Fiduciary Access to Digital Asset Act. It defines digital assets as your information being stored electronically, and it says that you have the ability, that you have the right to control what happens to that information. So I got very excited, and I updated our process, and I've been refining it ever since then. 2016, that law became available. So digital asset language, this first general request, it gives the ability to request an inventory of your assets. So just tell them what account you have, who's the owner, who's the beneficiary, that type of information. That's the information that the trustees need to do their job. Now, without that in place, we do the administration work. And so like that, going back to that call, if they can't find anything around the house, if they can't figure out where their bank accounts are at, if they call the bank, they can't tell them any information. If the account's in the trust, you have to prove that you're the trustee of the trust, that you have the authority, show them the document of the trust, and then they'll tell you if there's an account in the name of the trust. If there's an account in the name of the individual, they won't be able to tell you unless you go through probate and get appointed as a personal representative. So giving the ability to request that information, it avoids that. It gives the ability to, for the trustees, which is usually the kids, that they can request that general information. Now, the digital asset trust is to make more specific requests over things like email and photos and videos. So for email, what I recommend at a minimum is that you list your email accounts and give the trustee the ability to request a list of the emails. They can't read the messages. They can't see what anything says. They can just get a list of what was sent, what the subject was, and who the sender was, and that's it. So that's the modern mailbox. So that way, if I get that call and someone says, what do I do? With the digital asset language, that general language gives us the ability to call the bank and allows them to respond to us. If that doesn't help us, we can look in an email and get some information there. Now, for things like photos and videos that you store on your phone, so those types of things, let me hide this. For those types of things, those digital assets where the photos and videos is what you're trying to protect, the underlying digital assets, we can designate what happens to that. So in my personal digital asset trust, I include my iCloud account. By default, all the photos and videos on your iCloud account die with you. No rights of survivorship. I did a video about that. It'll be releasing soon. Google has what's called an inactive account manager. You can say what happens if your account is inactive. I didn't want to put my 13-year-old as my inactive account manager. They don't have an adequate solution for me. So I included my YouTube channels and my Google assets in my digital asset trust and directed that all of those things be copied to my children. The digital vault membership, this gives you a place to store everything electronically. So go back to our website, scroll to the top. Oops. If you go here, this digital vault, so that's where you get your login to a place to keep all the documents electronically. So that's what we call the digital vault. So to do all those things for a married couple, somewhere around there, we can give you a break on those fees if it's pretty simple, if it goes off of there. If you want to add things like the Dynasty Trust or a pet trust, we have a really good pet trust. Recently gave $500,000 to a cat, so we hooked that cat up. Made sure there's a separate trustee over that pet trust managing the money. There's a separate caregiver that's responsible for the pets. And in this case, the way we did it is if they went without incident every year that there was no incident with the pets, the caregiver got a bonus. So good way we can take care of the pets. And then, just some other things as well. All right, so let me look at some of these other things. Let's see. Are you trained in educating clients and how best to decide when to start Social Security benefits? No, I am not. I know there's a lot to it, and I'm not the one to go to for that. I check with your financial advisor to see if they can help you on that, or if they know someone that can. I know, like I said, I know there's a lot to it, and if you can be strategic on when you want to start taking them, and if you're married, as far as if your partner takes them or you take them next, but I don't know the answers. Digital Vault membership. Thank you for that answer. That's huge. So can you give that info to the executor ahead of time, but control their access? Exactly. So you can decide what they get to see and when they get to see it. So you could say you can make things available for them only after you pass away, or you can make more things available right now if you're comfortable with that. So that's pretty cool. Digital Vault membership. The other thing that's huge with the digital asset trust, your phone, the camera roll on your phone becomes a journal. So the photos and videos that you take will make sure that those are passed on to your children. We call those your human assets, and more important than your stuff, I think that's what people are really going to care about. So that's something I really enjoy doing. I've been telling my clients that they need to take selfies, especially some of my older clients. It's funny to hear their answers. They're like, my generation just doesn't do that. We're not that self-involved. We're not going to sit at a phone and make pouty faces and duck lips and snap photos. But I tell them that you should, that I want you to look at your camera and talk to your phone and treat it as an interview. And then that'll document your life, and future generations will have that. That's something that we've just started featuring on our social media. If you'll follow our Instagram account, it's Dana_estate_law. We've been sharing questions that you can do, interview questions. So you'll see more about that feature there and on our other social media. But we want to give you topics, something that you can do like monthly. And if you did that, or even just annually, if you did something every year, and to start building some content for the future generations. All right, guys, this is fun. So we've gone for 43 minutes so far. It's gone by fast. And I appreciate all the questions and comments. We talked about how to avoid probate, one of the most common questions that I get. Talked a little bit about digital asset planning, one of my favorite topics. I also want to talk about things that you can be doing from home, things you can do while stuck at home. We talked about how you can schedule the personal family legal session. You can do that virtually by calling our office if you want a professional plan done, or you can even write a plan by hand. You can do your own plan yourself. Get a drink of water as I pause for emphasis. So yeah, you can do your plan yourself as well. Now, if you come to us, we'll make sure that it's done right. We can give you the security to make sure that it's done right. But here's the group that I want to speak to. Everyone has a plan. You might not realize it. You might be thinking, no, I don't have a plan. Well, Big Brother's got a plan for you. It's called the laws of intestacy. Intestacy means no will. So if a person passes away, we look to see if they have a last will and testament. So that controls their estate. So everything that a person owns or is entitled to after they're gone is part of their estate. Now, if a person does not have a last will and testament, what happens to their stuff if they pass away? Who gets it? So there's a default order, which is called the laws of intestacy. So if you're married, by default, your spouse will be your beneficiary. Most of the time. Now, if your spouse had children from a prior relationship and they pass away without a will, then by default, those laws of intestacy, half goes to their children and half would go to their spouse. Now, this can be a devastating result. I've seen it happen several times. excuse me. So I've seen it. Recently we had a lady lost her husband, passed away. Only asset was the house. There was a mortgage on it. There was some equity there. She was living in it and was able to afford the payments, but we had the problem of the other beneficiaries. We had to they're entitled to half of that house. So I think it had to be sold so that she could share half of that with them. She didn't have any other assets to pay them their share. So if that's your situation, if you're married and your partner has children from a prior relationship and you haven't done your last will and testament, you should go ahead and write something by hand right away. So if you want to make sure your partner is protected, you can do what's called a holographic will, handwritten, where you write it out on paper. We'll be sharing more about how to do that on our different social media accounts for Dana and Associates. So follow the Instagram and YouTube. We'll show you how to do that. Also, if your partner, if you're not legally married, so if what you would consider your partner, significant other, whatever you want to call it, if the law doesn't recognize your relationship, then if you pass away, one passes away, the other person has no rights. So again, that's an important situation that that you want to make sure that we plan for. Something else too is your children. So if you have children that aren't legally adopted by you, maybe they were your partner's children when you got married, and they could have been in your life, forever, but they weren't legally born to you and legally adopted by you, then there's no rights for them as well. So that's an important situation when you would want to update your plan and even do a handwritten holographic will to make sure they're protected. Let's see. Christine's asking, hi, Rilus, what is the best way to take care of my pets? So thanks, Christine. Thanks for tuning in. She's from, let's do this. Cool overlay. There we go. Powered by Mott Legal. So Christine's from our Mott Legal company, parent company. And so the best way to take care of your pets, I mentioned the pet trust briefly. That's the best way. So if you have money set aside, if you're able to set aside an amount of money to be used for the care of your pet and even for a caregiver, then we can designate a pet trust. Arizona provides for it, Arizona law. I believe California does as well. I don't know about Nevada. I'm licensed there, but inactive. But a lot of these states, you can make a trust that protects the pets that way. Now, not too many people do that. The other options with pets, we can treat them like personal property. What I mean by that, in the last will and testament is where I like to take care of the personal property. Say who's going to get your furniture in your house, things like that. And I give you the ability to name a list. So one way you could do it, if you didn't want the extra cost of the pet trust, if you don't have any money to set aside for your pets, very few people do, then in the last will and testament, we can designate who you would want your pets to go to is one way to do it. The most important thing, we want to make sure that your pets are cared for is the most important thing, that they have a home. So you can leave unofficial instructions as well as another way to do it. So in our binder, let's see, I have one. I'll show you. The binder, very proud of. Upside down, there we go. So in the binder, in that trust asset coordination session, this is where we review what's in here. And in the miscellaneous section, there's a place to leave unofficial instructions. So you can leave some instructions there on what you would like to have happen to your pets. Something else that people do is they might make a gift to a person in their trust. They might give, an amount of money, $5,000, $10,000, whatever it is, to a person, and say that that you hope that they take care of your pets. Again, that's what would be called. It's not legally binding doing it that way, but again, if you don't want to go through the pet trust and have someone appointed as a trustee and manage that, and you don't have the funds to set aside for your animals, then those are some options for them. Okay, so let's see what other banners I have to put up. I'll show this one. You can text us. I think that's pretty cool. We have a number where we can text. I don't know if too many law firms are doing that, but I want to make sure we make it easy to communicate, give you guys different options. So you can text us, or our website, Dana Legal Help. That's what I was showing earlier, some of the features there. And yeah, I'm getting ready to wrap it up, I think, unless there's any other questions, comments. Let's see. Go through all the comments. So yeah, I'll close it out. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in to this live stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've had fun doing it. It's something I want to do more of in the future. So let us know if there's any topics that you'd like to hear us discuss. Let us know if you want to be a guest on the show. If you have something to offer the community that you can help us get their estate plans updated, then let me know. Love to feature you as a guest. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Have a great day.